All right, let's get into the motivations behind how some people vote. And this is really interesting analysis now. To get into it, I'm joined by Executive Director of the Menzies Research Centre, of course, columnist at the Australian, regular guest on Credlin, Nick Cater. Nick, thank you for your time. You've done a really interesting piece today about young female voters in the Australian and their impact on voting patterns. You've looked obviously at the United States, but elsewhere. What can you tell us?
Well, young female single voters, those under 35 in particular, that number has grown exponentially over the last, well, it's been growing for a while, but in the last 20 years it's gone up by roughly 220,000. So that's a big number being added to that group. And they overwhelmingly vote for parties other than Liberal or National. That's in itself a political concern, but the far greater concern for me, Peter, is the indication that this gives you that people are delaying, women in particular, delaying family formation to later. They're not settling down in a relationship until beyond 35 in many cases. In fact, the majority of women under 35 are single. So this of course presents big problems for the future, for demographics, for the way we're able to raise children, the way we're able to, whether we have a shortage of children, whether the population goes down. There's that problem, but there's also the problem, I think, of all the additional problems that come with people who are single. They're more likely, for instance, to be stressed, to be mentally depressed, all sorts of things attached to that. I mean, it's a matter of personal choice, of course, but most people, most of the time, according to the surveys of this, are happier in a relationship. And it's better, of course, for the country that they should be able to settle down and buy a house and get on with what is a traditional nuclear family lifestyle.
Also impacting this for women too is higher educational attainment. We know the universities are a breeding ground for the left. But you also pick up a point about big government impacting women's lives, and this often sends them to the left.
Yeah, well, I think there's a few things in setting our policy which make it hard for people to buy a home. I mean, often when you talk to women of that age, and we've talked to quite a lot in the Menzies Research on this subject, the reason that they're not settling down and getting in a stable relationship and starting a family often begins with the fact that they can't afford the deposit for a home. So because housing prices is obviously crucial, and we've argued there's a lot the government could do to attach that. So housing prices and education are the two things that need to change.
All right, it's not going to go away, Nick. We'll come back to this. Good luck on that analysis. There you go. That's it.